Fine, let's start. So, yesterday we have seen different list methods, right? Uh, right. So we have seen different types of list methods, right? So today let's see nesting lists. Okay, that means list inside a list. That's all. Okay. So for example, if you see here, we have list one, list two, list three, right? So now you can have. So this is nothing but, as I said, when you're creating a list, you can have different item, right? So you can have string or integer, or you can have even list also, right? So in case if you have all list, then this becomes a nested list like this. If you have something like this, right? So now if you try to print this, you have the whole thing is a list, but again each item inside this is a list, right? And I think you know the multi-indexing, right? So this whole thing will be 0, this whole thing will be 1, this whole thing will be 2, right? And this 1 will be 0 comma 1, right? And this 2 will be, sorry, this 1 will be 0 comma 0, and 2 will be 0 comma 1, and 3 will be 0 comma 2. You getting, guys? Right, so this will be 0 comma 0, because this whole thing is 0. Inside that, this is one more 0. Now this 2 is, this whole thing is 0. In this it is 1, 0 comma 1. Okay, so like that. What will be index for 8? It will be 2 comma 1. Okay, so did you understand this, the multi-indexing part?
Example.
Yes, Santosh.
Okay, fine. So using that, you can access any, I would say, item. So you can extend this. You can extend that to different parts too. Okay. Now, next we are going to see list comprehension, right? So fine. So list comprehensions is like a very important concept in overall list. Okay. So, but list comprehension is nothing new. So it's the same thing we have already used, but we are going to write it in a different shape. So if I list comprehension is, it's like writing for loop in a single line. Okay. List comprehension can be defined as writing for loop in a single line. Okay. So usually we write for loop in multiple lines, right? For I in some range of something, then you will write print I, or you will write I into I, or you can use I plus 2, something like that, right? So if I want to, if I want to write normal for loop, how I'm going to do that? See, I want to find out the squares of a different numbers. Okay, so from 1 to 10, I want to collect them in a and collect them in a variable. So what I will do, I'll say for I in range of 11, right? So then I will have I into I. So if I print I got squares, fine. But I don't want to print them, but I want to collect them in some variable. So I will say square equal to some list. Now I'll come here to add an element to list. What function should I use?
Append.
Okay, append I into I. Okay, so now you have this done, and this is, yeah. So as you can see, all the squares are getting collected in this variable. Okay, it's fine. But instead of writing these 3 lines, you can write the same thing in one single line, right? That is called as list comprehension. Okay, so now if you can see here, the way how you can write a list comprehension is, this is the way. So you need to put everything in the square brackets, okay, in the list, and inside that you need to write the logic. The way how you need to write is for member in iterable expression, right? For member in iterable expression, okay. See, the same thing, list comprehension, I can write it this way. So put the logic for I in range of 10, right? The same thing for I in range of 11. Okay, for I in range of 11, what I'm doing, I want to square dot append, right? So here you don't need to create a new variable separately, right? Whatever you are having over here, that is the same as this sqa. Okay, for example, squares is the one I am creating, right? So inside squares you are already doing this. Okay, so for I in range of 11, right, with each I, what I'm doing over here, the operation I into I, right? That thing you need to write here before for you need to write, right? So instead of writing in the after for in the bottom, you need to write before for to the left of it, right? For I in range of 11, so I into I. Okay, that's it. And this you need to create the variable squares wherever you want to store this value. Okay, so this one, if I do, see, you got the same value, right? So here the point is, you need to write the for loop, and what you want to do with this I, you need to write it over here. Okay, and this value will be stored in this squares variable. So in this whole list, it will loop through each I and will calculate this I value, this expression I into I, and it will store the value in the list. Is that clear, guys? List comprehension.
Yeah, Santosh.
Yeah, yes, Santosh.
Okay, so in other way, if you see what I'm doing. So here you can think of many things. Okay, for example, if I'm saying even, so I just want to find out the even numbers. So you don't need to first create a variable, do all this stuff. So you can just directly write it. So I will just say for I in range of 20, right? for I in range of 20, whatever you're writing, right? So and main thing is you don't need to use this colon also, right? So in list comprehension, what how you can write is first you write the loop for I in range of 20, right? Now what expression you want to check, come and write before for. I want to check if it is an even number. So how I will check? If I percentage of 2 equal to 0. Okay. Let me see if it gives boolean number or, yeah, so it's giving boolean number. Okay, then what you can do is you have, if I you can do that, right? So here what I'm doing, the same thing, how you will write, first you will loop, right? So you will say for I in range of 20. Okay, if it's even number, what I will do, I'll enter, I'll say if again I percentage to equal to 0, right? Then I'll come inside and I need to create a variable called as even. Okay, and I'll create a list. I'll come inside, I'll do even dot append, and then I'll do I, right? So then if I print even, I got even numbers. Okay, the same thing what I'm doing in this multiple lines, list comprehension will just do it in one shot, one line. So you are the same conditions you can just write in sequence. You can just keep on writing. And the final thing what you want to do with I, you can write it in the, you should write in the starting. See, first it will check this way for I in range of 20, that means I should loop in the I. Fine. So after that it will take each I and it is checking what I should do with that I. Okay, I'm having one more if condition. The same thing what I'm writing here, you can just write it over here. Okay, if I is percentage of 2, okay, then only if this condition is true, right, then it will come and store here. Okay, it will come and take only that values. So that's why for each value it is checking this condition, and only for these numbers this condition will be true, right? So that's why it has considered only those I, right? So once you have I over here, right, so you can play with this I. So what I will do, I will just say I plus 10. You get 10, 12, same you will get, right? So once this looping is done and this condition is satisfied, here you are taking I and you have the freedom to do whatever you want to with I, right? So you can do plus 10 or you can do into 100, right? So it will directly give you the values over here. Okay, so even if you have many conditions, you can just write them in a sequence, right? And it will directly give the output in the list. You don't need to create separate list because the you need to use the square bracket. So this becomes list comprehension, and where you can write multiple conditions in a sequence, right? Is this clear? Is for loop and if loop you are directly writing in one shot.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. Now similarly, for example, you have this tax. Okay, so transactions. Okay, and let's say this is a GST 0.18. Okay, and you want to add this one for every value of this transaction. So what you can do, so obviously you can write a for loop and do all that stuff, but now one smart move is you can use a list comprehension. See, simple for I in transactions, that means I want to loop through this I, sorry, through these transactions, And for each I, that means for each of this value, I want to just enter tax it. So I'm saying for I in transactions, you are getting I plus tax rate. So it will add this to this to this every item. It will add 0.18, and that will, and the output it will automatically give you in the final prices, because this is enclosed in the closed parenthesis. So this became a list comprehension. Okay. Now if you see it has given, right? So or if you just want to multiply with 100, it will be better to see. Clear? So that's how you can use a list comprehensions, I would say. The the other way is, for example, like you can think of like lot of what all problems we have solved through for loop, right? If loop, nested, same thing you can apply it for list comprehension. Okay, but I'm telling list comprehension is very important, and you will write, you will use most of the times when you're writing, because you know in companies people always ask you, writing code is fine. They will say everybody can write the code, what's there, right? You are a Python developer or you are this that data scientist, you can write the code. But main important point is your code should be optimized, right? Your code should be optimized. It should be less number of lines, less number of lines, right? You should create less number of variables. Okay, don't create unnecessary variables, right? Because the time, even 1 second, also it matters, right? So I've seen like when running different node, different scripts, right? They'll check at seconds level, so why it's taking like 10 seconds more, why it's taking like 3 seconds more, right? Because if you, the reason here is, as you can know in today's world, like we have zero patience level, right? The consumer, the user, if he is opening a website, right, and let's say you have clicked a button, if it is taking more than few seconds, you will just go to another website, right? We don't have patience to stay. Same thing goes with like if you're watching a TV and if you get ad, you just skip it, right? You don't want to waste your time even few seconds. So similarly, you have opened the app and you have clicked some button and it is taking few seconds to open. So obviously you're not interested, right? So the to minimize that, right? So it's called latencies. To minimize that latency, so we will try to optimize the code as much as possible, right? So if you, the result will be same. Obviously if you given a task, you can create all the required variables, you can use loops multiple times, and then you can do that, right? But people will not encourage that. Even in interviews also, I have faced many times this question that they will say, hello, am I audible? Okay, I think I'm audible. Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So most of the times they'll ask not to use like repeated loops, right? So because we have a temptation, like understanding and learning loops is really important, and we will use most of the time. But in some interviews, I've seen people ask, don't use loops because when it should loop through multiple loops, right? So it will take uh, more number of lines in the code, right? More energy, more time, more space, more storage. So they will say all these things, right? So that's why list comprehension will come handy in that scenarios, right? So now we'll see one more example. So for example, if you have yeah, so let's say you have a sentence like this. Okay, the rocket came back from the Mars, and you just want to, collect all the vowels. Okay, for I in sentence, that means it will take each character. If I is in this I, I, O, U vowels, then you just want to take that. Okay, so as you can see, these are the vowels which you just read from here. So now you can extend it for different sort of comprehension problems, right? So you can literally write everything in one line. So this extends, so you can see that it will go for if I in this one, else you can write, and multiple for loops you can write. So you can do a lot of things with this comprehension. But basic thing is that, so you need to write the loop first, next expression. If you want one more expression, whatever you do, come back, and you need to write what you want to do with that I. Here I'm just taking I, right? So that's why it is giving you just I. But if you want to do whatever you want to do I, you need to write in here. In the first place you need to write, for example, I want to add, okay, good to that. So as you can see, with I am adding good, so it is happening. So ultimately, once this looping is done, this everything is done, what you want to do with that I, you need to mention it over here. Okay, so that is regarding the list comprehension. And I would say, yeah, so we have already seen the multi-indexing. Fine. So this is the all the required things regarding list, right? So let me know if list is clear. So I think we have covered uh, multiple things and all the required things, I would say. Yeah, regarding the list, all the functions, comprehensions, indexing. Yeah. So let me know, guys. Are we good with list? Any doubts? Any concerns about the list? Anyone?
As of now, fine, sir.
Okay. Hmm. Fine. So then I'll assume we are good with list. Great. So next we are going to go for next concept called as tuple. Okay. So what's the fundamental difference between list and tuple? The main difference, as I said, the tuple is immutable. Okay. Tuple is immutable. That means what? That means what? If you create a tuple, you cannot change its elements. You cannot change its elements. Okay. So now, because of this one property, right, you cannot change. That means you cannot add, you cannot remove, you cannot insert, right, or you cannot pop. Okay. So all these functions will obviously not available for this tuple, right? So because you cannot change, so that's why tuple is very very simple. You have very limited number of functions available over here, and like you cannot do any of this manipulations part, right? So because if you see in list, what are the different types of, at heading level, so what are the different types of functions we studied? Anybody remember?
Uh, like, you mean manipulation? We have manipulation methods. We have information methods to get information. Also, we have
Yeah, so we have information method, you have manipulation method, and you have ordering method. Okay. So now for tuple, we cannot do any changes. So these manipulation methods, all add, remove, pop, insert, so that will be not available. So simple information methods and few ordering methods where we are not changing any of the elements, only those are available. Okay. So now let's see tuple, right? So first let's see what are the different ways how you can tuple, and there is one very important and interesting thing about tuple creation. Actually, we'll see the way how you can create a tuple is t equal to this one. So this tuple equal to, when you say tuple, it's a what do we call this, braces, right? Brackets. Okay. So it becomes tuple. And the way how you can create t equal to 11, yeah, so if you just see t 11 22 33, so that becomes tuple. Okay. The important point in tuple is these braces are, right, these braces are optional for tuple, right? Because if I just say, see, I'm saying 11 12 33 44, right? I'm not giving any braces. Now if I say type of t, right, so it will be tuple. Okay. So these braces are not optional. So it can take, see, when I'm not putting anything, it can take anything, right? It can go for list, it can be set, it can be anything. Okay. But in Python, if you don't mention anything, it automatically considers that as tuple. Okay. So now I'm saying what is type of T?
Tuple.
Okay. Now what is type of T?
Integer.
Okay. So now type of T,
Tuple.
right? Okay. So as I said, the braces are not mandatory for tuple. Okay. But when you create only one element, when you give only one element, if you argue, like, so you told like braces are not important, but why it's giving int? Because the rule is, if you are defining only one value and if you want to consider that as tuple, you need to give just a comma. Okay. Otherwise, obviously, this becomes int, right? We cannot overrule that rule. Okay. So if you give only one item, so that will be considered as int or string or whatever, right? But if you want to consider that as tuple, you just need to give a comma after that. Okay. You don't need to give braces. Even if, see, I'm not giving any braces, but still it's considering as tuple. Okay. So, and if you give more than one, obviously you don't need to give any braces. Okay. But it is always advisable, right? Because someone should, uh, when you're looking something at something, so obviously you should understand data type, right? So it's not mandatory, but it is recommended and advisable, and every time when we create tuple, we will definitely give the braces. Okay, fine. But as per rule, it's not mandatory. Okay, that you need to understand. Okay, now this is, yeah, one way to create. And option, yeah, as I said, like braces are optional for tuples, right? So as you can see, yeah, it works, right? And the other way of creating tuple is tuple range of 2 comma 10. Okay, so as you can see that it will just create the output in the form of tuple. Okay, and then you have accessing the elements of tuple, same thing, nothing fancy. So if you have a tuple, t of 0 works, t of -1 works, negative indexing works, slicing works. Okay, so I'm not going into details because we have seen this multiple times in list and string. Okay, so the same slicing works. Okay, but the main thing is immutability. Okay, now if you see it, I'm creating a tuple. Okay, this is index 0 1 2 3. Okay, now if I want to change a particular value, let's say t of 0, this 11 I want to replace with 100. Okay, so that is not possible because tuple does not support item assignment. So that is the reason it's called immutability. Okay, but the same thing if I just do it for list. Okay, if you just change this to list. Okay, and right, and if I print L, it is possible, right? So I can say L of 0 is initially 11. Now I'm replacing L of 0 with 100, so it became 100 22 33 44. Okay, now it's changed because list is mutable. Okay, but the same thing I cannot do with tuple. Okay, tuple is immutable. The moment you have created this, right, this values will stay forever as long this notebook is running. Okay, so until this notebook crashes, tuple t you cannot change it. Okay, but as I said, you can create a new variable for tuple. So for tuple I can, okay, if I do this, okay, if I'm doing this, right, so that means I'm creating a new reference for this object. So just the immutability concept I was referring to. But wherever this 11 22 30 44 was getting saved, right? So that memory location is still the same. It will not get changed. When I'm doing this, the value of the t is pointing to a new memory location. The old memory location is not going to change. Okay, so that's the concept. Fine. So after that we have, since we don't have any manipulation operations, right? So tuple, that's why tuple is very simple to understand. Okay, we don't have any addition, so I would say, mm, add, remove, etc. Okay, the only thing what you can do is tuple t1 t2, so you can just add t1 plus t2. Okay, so it will just add this, right? But the point here is t1 will be again the same, t2 will be again the same, a new variable will be created. Okay, this t1 plus t3 will be considered as a new tuple. Okay, so as you can see, the old tuples remain the same. Okay, because you cannot change these tuples, right? So after that you can also do multiplication operation. So if you have t1 is equal to this, if you into 2, it will just multiply the number of items twice. Okay, it's not element wise mathematical operation. Okay, so it will just multiply the items. So next you have only few tuple functions, not many, right? So let's say you have tuple. So what do you have? You have length, like length of t. Okay, obviously it will 4. And index, you can just find out the index. Okay, t equal to 53, 66, 77, 88. Okay, so what is the index of this particular element, right? So I have 1. Okay, 66 is presented 1. Okay, we have only index, but all these functions, as you can see, they are just information, right? So you're not manipulating. So we are finding length, that's it. We are finding the index of particular value, that's it. And here you are just trying to sort it off t. Okay, see here, if you have a t equal to this, okay, and now you have one more function called as sorted. If you just to sort this tuple, but sorting the tuple is not going to again change the tuple. Whatever you are going to do, it's not going to change the tuple, right? So that's why even after, if you do sorted of t, so as you can see, this whole thing got sorted in mathematical order, increasing order, ascending order, right? But the original tuple, did it change? No, original tuple is still the same. Okay, so only the sorted of t will create a new tuple. Okay, so it's not going to change the existing tuple. So one more, this is like ordering, right? So you can just order the tuple. Okay, after that, your simple min max functions, obviously you have. Okay, minimum value of tuple, maximum value of tuple, you can just use it by this. Okay, so that's it, nothing more functions. Okay, tuple is very, very simple. And now you have something called as tuple packing and unpacking. Okay, packing and unpacking of tuple, that means it's very simple. So if you have, let's say, a equal to 11, 22, 33, so you can just pack all of these a b c into one tuple. Okay, you can just say 11, right? Sorry, not 11, l, right? So once if you put into that, right, so you are assigning three values to one single variable, right? So that is not possible, right? So if you think that's uh simple, so yeah, so if you have, can I do this? Okay, this will also create the, okay, this will also create the tuple. Yeah, so as you can see, it is creating the tuple, right? So this is called tuple packing. That means you are packing multiple items into a single variable, and that will be obviously a tuple. Okay, and you can also unpack these. So see, if you're at, you can put multiple items in one tuple, and and when you, if you want to extract these items, okay, these items from this single item, so you just need to create as many number of variables you want to, you will be getting out of this tuple. You have 6, so just create 6 variables and just give t. So all this will, the values of t, which are these, will get unpacked and stored in each of this character. Okay, so now you can see this 1957 level. Okay, so just pack multiple items into tuple and unpack multiple items from tuple. Okay, that's it, nothing fancy over here. Okay, and next thing, we have something called as tuple comprehension. Okay, so tuple comprehension, just like we have list comprehension, you also have tuple comprehension. Okay, but there is a difference over here, right? For example, if you see, okay, for example, if you see over here, right? So when I'm saying, see, when I'm saying this, see, if I have a list, right? See, for x in range of 1 comma 6, right? So what I'm doing, x into x, that means what it will do, the square. Okay, and for list comprehension I need to put it in the list. Okay, so x in range of 1 comma 6, so it's I'm printing x comma x. Okay, I'm getting the square of each and every number from 1 to 5. So that will be stored in this is list comprehension which you've just seen. Okay, so now if you print 5, so obviously you're getting 1 4 9 16 25. Okay, that's expected because we have just studied list comprehension, that's fine. But if you do the same thing, I'm doing the same operation in the using tuple comprehension, that means nothing changes, only you need to create it as a tuple. Okay, now if you print t, okay, if you print t, it will not print the value, it is generated, but it will not print the value because it will create a generator object, right? A tuple comprehension will create a generator object, that means the values are stored in this object and you need to generate them by looping. Okay, now t, whatever the t you are having, so that is having all the values, just like how you are having these values like list comprehension. Now t is also having all the values, but you cannot see them because that's a generator object. How you can see them, you need to loop through this t. Okay, now what I'm doing is I am for I in t, I'm looping this t and then print I. Okay, now you do that. As you can see, it is printing this. Okay, so I just got an idea. So can we use this I in a list comprehension? So just like L equal to I in T I to do this. Perfect. So as you can see, we are using list comprehension, tuple comprehension in one shot. So in list tuple comprehension, you'll get the values, but it that not will that not be generated. That means you cannot see, but you want to see that you need to loop through it. Okay, loop through it and only then that is visible. So that's why it's called, it creates generator object. Okay, but tuple comprehension is also possible, right? So same thing goes for
Compression. Yeah. So that tuple, that list we can convert as tuple, right? For example, in the below, you
this
can
one.
like, yeah, we got no list, right? So that list we can convert it as tuple. That complete list 1 4 9 16 12. In the below, can you please write down like tuple? I mean,
This one.
or t equal to tuple of L. Will it convert?
Huh, that should convert, right? So
Yeah. Okay.
okay, so if you want the output to be in the tuple itself, you need to just tuple comprehension. Yeah, tuple comprehension will give in the generator object, and that you can just use a list comprehension engine and you can convert this. Okay, and yeah, so can I use this? Okay, you can directly do like this also. Okay, so that's about the tuple comprehension. Okay, so there are not many things to learn in tuple, right? So it's very basic thing, right? So let me know, guys, are you good with tuple? Any doubts, any concerns, any questions?
Yeah. And tuple does not allow duplicates, right?
No, I think it will allow duplicates. For duplicates,
Allow duplicates and same as list, just it is immutable. That's it.
yes. I can say tuple one, one, two, again one, two, three. No problem. It allows, no issues. Okay. So tuple is exactly, actually see, tuple is exactly same like list. The only thing is it is immutable. That means once you create, you cannot perform any changes on that object. Okay. In other words, tuple can be mentioned as a read-only version of list. Okay, it's just like a read-only version. You cannot do any operations on that. Okay, it's a read-only version of list. If just as a example, read-only version of list can be called as a tuple, right? And duplicates are allowed, and you can heterogeneous objects are allowed. That means you can use multiple different data types. All should not be of same data type. You can use string integer combinations, you can use. Okay, so indexing is supported, positive indexing, negative indexing is done. And one just important thing is parentheses are not optional. Okay, but it is recommended to use always. Okay, yeah. Are we good guys with tuple? Anybody? Any questions?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, so I hope it's clear for everybody. Fine, let's go to next topic. So that's called set. Okay, so we have set uh, as a next topic. So the way I think we already are aware, so how you can create a set. So it's just like sorry, using the flower brackets, right? So and there are few different properties of set. We will see that. Okay, so next thing is right. So let me go for the set. Right, so first let's see few properties of set. So if you want to group, okay, if you want to represent, right, group of different values, okay, without any duplicates, it's okay, you need to go for the set. Okay, for example, I'm saying s equal to, I'm saying 1 comma 1 comma 2 comma 2 comma 3, right? So if you say s, so as you can see, duplicates are automatically removed from set. Okay, and usually, and also heterogeneous items are allowed. That means what, different data types can be combined. Okay, and yeah, so now as you can see, the order is not preserved. Okay, what do I mean by the order is not preserved? Because till now in tuple or list, whatever order you are creating, right, the output will always be in the same order. So it will not have power to change order by itself, tuple or list. Coming to set, set is a little different guy. Okay, so that guy, what do we say, he's a different uh, what do we call that word, sitaya, right? He will not listen to anyone, right? So this guy, now the order is not preserved. Okay, so see the order what I'm giving. Okay, so but the order, if you see, it is different, right? So buy is coming over here, right, and one is going to the first, and duplicates are removed, right? So it it is one of the properties. So the properties of set, okay, the fundamental properties of set you need to understand here is dupes not allowed. Second, order not preserved. Okay, third thing, it is, set is mutable or immutable.
Mutable.
Okay,
Heterogeneous objects.
okay, right. So these are the main values, the main properties I think you should remember. So mainly duplicates and order should be the one. Heterogeneous anyhow it's allowed, and yeah, it is also mutable. Fine. So these are the concepts. So we will see quickly a few things regarding the set. As you can see, s equal to this one, and if you do type of s, okay, we have the set, right? And also the other way, if you can have like, as I said, see, so I'm doing this L will be set, and you can also do set of L. Okay, now if I'm doing like 44 and 33, see, it is, I'm just converting a tuple into set, and it will be automatically changed. Okay, so now another way is, if you say s equal to set of range of 5, that is also possible. Okay, but now next thing is, let's see, if I just say just this, so now what will be the type of s? Hmm? Dict,
Yeah.
right? So it will be dict. Okay, so while creating empty list, you should be a bit careful, because empty curly braces will always be dict, because the dict is also using the same symbol. Okay, right, and after that, okay, and after that's right. So you have, but if you want to, what is the way if you want to create a empty set, then right, because I think you might be already knowing that if I do this, this is a list, empty list, right? If I do this, this is empty tuple, right? But if I do this, this is becoming empty. Okay, dict. Then what is the way to create a empty set? Anyone?
Set of parentheses.
Right, so you can do set of parenthesis, even this. Okay,
Parentheses, yes, sir. Like tuple.
just braces this one.
Yes.
Right, so this will be set. Fine, so that is the way how you can create a empty set. Fine, so just remember that duplicates are not allowed, and insertion order is not preserved in set. Okay, remaining all thing is possible, right? So now let's see some quickly see some functions in the set. Okay, so first thing is, you will be let's say s equal to, okay, and the way how you need to add if an element to set is s dot add. Okay, here comes the actual concept. See, as I said, whenever you are creating, the moment you are creating an object, right? When you're creating, let's say I'm creating s equal to some set, okay, set of some 11 22, that means what, this is becoming a object of set. And what is a class is a set. The data type set is a class, and in that class we are creating an object with these values, and we are giving a name of the object as yes, right? So this s will have the like power to use all the methods and functions from this data set called as data type called as set, right? Now set will have a fixed number of functions. Okay, only those functions can be used by this variable s as long as this is pointing to this set object, right? So why I'm saying here is the operation might be same. My operation is to add an item to the list or to the already existing sequence. Okay, now my l equal to 1 comma 2 comma 3. Okay, now and my s equal to, now my s equal to 11 comma 22. Okay, now if I want to, my operation is just to add one more item to this sequence, and also this sequence. Okay, but the difference here is this is a list and this is a set. So list will have the access to only all the list methods, and set will have access to only all the set methods. Okay, you cannot use the different way. Okay, now if I want to add a new item to this, what I was doing, I am doing l dot append. L dot append, if I do some value, then it will get added. But to set, if I want to add, I cannot do append because I don't have append method from this set class, right? So I cannot do that. Okay, so here I'm doing s dot add. So if you do s dot add, then it will add an item. So because now sc is a set, so you are allowed to use only set related functions. Okay, you cannot use append for set. Similarly, you cannot use add for list. Okay, so knowing this is very very important, because initially if you're already familiar, then it's fine, great. But when you're learning, right, so you will not pay that much attention. We'll just think, okay, append will add an item to list, so it will, I will try to add. Okay, so if I, and so it will say set has no attribute append, right? So the other way, if I just do, if this is a list, right, so if I do s dot add, it will also say same thing, list has no attribute called as add. So list will have append for adding. Now it is adding 10, right? Similarly, if it is a set, you should use only set function. So like that, like similarly, you have all different types of functions available only for that data type. Okay, so you should be familiar and you should have them at tip of your fingers, like what all the functions available for each data type, right? So that is when you will be having good grip on different types of data types. Okay, so now if I do s dot add will work for set, right? So now you are adding. Okay, so if I'm adding some 100, right, and the order is not preserved, as you can observe, right? So initially it is added 10 year, it is added 10 years, so you don't know order what it will add. And when you are printing the list set also, you don't know order what it will print, right? So that's why if I'm adding some 200, so it is adding somewhere over here. If I'm adding some 300, it will add somewhere over here. Okay, so can I add, hey, I'm just guessing. So now S is having 300, right? So is it doing changes in the S, or it is creating a new variable? Yeah, it is adding over here to the existing same thing, right? So now since duplicates not allowed, so if I do S dot add 300, it will add. Now if I do again S dot 300, what will happen? Any guess? Because first time when I add 300, it will add. Next time again I'm trying to add 300.
It will allow only once.
For second time, will it give error?
No, maybe it will run, but it will take only 300.
Okay. Fine. Correct. So it is running, but it's not giving any error, right? So like that, you can add. Okay, fine. So this is the way how you can add set value. Okay. We have other functions to cover from the set. Okay. We have, because set is mutable, right? The moment it is mutable, all doors gets open. The moment it is mutable, all manipulation steps like change, add, remove, pop, so that gets clear, everything comes into picture, right? So we do have all those for set also, right? So but I think we can cover them up in tomorrow's class. And yeah, I think we are good with the, so far I think we are good. And tomorrow we'll try to conclude set, and also we'll start the dictionary. And dictionaries, as I said, it's very important, and we will try to conclude dictionary tomorrow, right? So it's not that hard. So, but dictionary is very very important. So once we're done with the dictionary, right? We are we should be good with basic data types, right? So then we can the other steps will be very very easy for us once we are once you have practiced, provided that you have practiced till what I will say dictionary. Then we are going to see functions, right? Functions are, I would say, the backbone of any programming language, specifically Python, right? So once we are done with the functions, yeah, so we are going for the oops. Okay, fine guys, that's all for today. So if you have any doubts, you can ask, or else let's meet tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks, Anthony.
Okay, chalo, thanks everyone.